Hey YouTube, this is Evan Magician 34, and I've got a really cool deck here for you. I wouldn't necessarily take this to regionals, mind you, but it's pretty neat. Let me just get into it, and I think you'll understand what I mean right off. First off, 2 copies of Royal Firestorm Guard. This is Volcanic-Sworn, so it's the synergies of Volcanics and Lightsworns. And this guy is one of the few just straight up +2s in the game. I mean, obviously you have to have the stuff in the grave, but yeah, this guy's amazing, and they can retrieve each other. So this is an awesome card, really undervalued. Just gonna make that up right up front. Double Rocket, Volcanic Rocket, gets it out of the grave as well as the deck. Important to remember that. 3 copies of Volcanic Scattershot. As long as he's sent to the grave, he deals at 500. And he will Raigeki your opponent in the event that he gets pitched to the accelerator, of course. 3 Shell. And now we switch gears. 2 Judgment Dragon. Don't often see that in the deck with Volcanic Shell, do you? 1 copy of Lila. 1 copy of Aaron. 1 copy of Lumina. 1 copy of Jane. 1 copy of Garoth. 1 copy of Arcus. 1 copy of Raikou. That's 7 Lightsworns. They're really more in there to power out Judge than actually do their regular thing. There is 1 copy of Honest. 1 copy of Necrogardna. Good mill card. And 1 copy of Plague Spreader Zombie. Those are your monsters. In case you hadn't noticed, this deck sort of vacillates. It's going to be control early for a couple of turns, which obviously the Volcanics do really well, and then it switches to a sudden sort of a hammer with Judgment and whatnot. Alright, 1 Blaze Accelerator, since this can be retrieved from the grave and you can even retrieve your shells, you can even retrieve your rockets. There's not really a reason to run more than 1, it just wastes space in this build, so just 1 Accelerator. Foolish Burial, needless to say, tons of targets in this deck. 1 copy of Charge of the Light Brigade, another obvious one. 2 copies of Solar Recharge. If you run 3, it'll actually gum up your deck. You send the stuff to the grave lots of different ways. You don't get into your hand too often, so you really don't need the 3 recharges. 2 is good, very solid. Don't need more. 1 copy of Pot of Avarice. Another great thing for all those Volcanics. You actually run 2 copies of Monster Reincarnation. This is good for retrieving all kinds of stuff. Like about half or more of the deck, actually, stuff you want to pull from the grave. 1 copy of Giant Trunade. Reasons for this will probably become more obvious in just a sec. Level Limit Area B. Remember, you're more controlled than you are actual aggression. Don't let Lila and Aaron fool you. This is actually more of a control deck. Plus, you can Trunade and Judge to get rid of Level Limit, when you're actually the one planning to go on the offensive. Also, Swords. Beckoning Light, just 1 copy. Remember, this isn't predominantly Lightsworn, so this is almost as much to mill as anything else. Gravity Bind. Mirror Force. Torrential Tribute. Now that's a lot of destroys, and this deck is afraid of a lot of spells and traps. It's a big problem, especially bottomless. All these are problems. And I tried a bunch of different ways to settle it, but for this preliminary build I actually decided to go with a really creative answer. The last 3 cards of the deck, Dark Bribe. These protect Judge, they keep you from getting bottomless, it keeps you from getting stormed, keeps you from getting hit by stuff like My Body's a Shield. It just covers all the deck's worst fears. So you run the 3, because basically your opponent's usually only going to have 1 stop to your big play, and so this is your stop to their stop. And it's of course spell speed 3, which is beautiful, because it means it stops things, but you don't have to worry about retaliation from things like Starlight Road or My Body back at you. So, anyway. That's your main deck. And your extra deck. Around 2 Stardust Dragon, you're likely only to ever summon 1 in a game, but the reason I include 2 is because Starlight Road is a great side deck choice against certain opponents. So, 2 Stardust Dragon. Red Dragon Archfiend, Colossal Fighter, these are just generic 8-star choices here. Thought Ruler, because you got all those nice light monsters, and especially because you run Lumina, you can tap into this guy, Avenging Knight. Good in a lot of scenarios, actually. And good against Black Magus and Lightsworn kind of stuff that has all those damage step pumps. Black Rose, of course, always kind of an obvious choice. Psychic Life Transfer, X-Saber Urbellum, Goyo Guardian, and Bryanak. Those are pretty obvious. Guy Knight, because Stardust can be a problem for you, so he's another way to kill it if Goyo's out of commission, or Bryanak. Tempest, she's a nice way to kill. You may find yourself coming up a little short, and you can definitely sink into her, so she's an option. Android, and of course Catastor is your last two, your 5-star synchros. So okay, there you go. So that's Volcanic-Sworns. And until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.